2020's turned into a year of social distancing. Even before that got started, I decided to devote my winter to clearing this 8-acre parcel of woods for the Natural Lands Institute. When social distancing became the norm, I just decided to keep plugging away at it through the spring to get it done. One thing I do a lot of when I'm at home here in Illinois, I volunteer at a place called the Natural Land Institute. They have properties that they're preserving and trying to put back the way they were supposed to look. Well, I'm over here again today. Now this looks really nice. This is early January in Illinois, but I'm over here today because tonight we might get a foot of snow, so it's going to be kind of hard to come out here and do some of this cut and brush. Basically what we do is we're out here cutting all the invasive honeysuckle, buckthorn, leaving a few oak trees and things like that back here, and then it'll all be, figure out later on just how many trees are going to be left, maybe put some more good species back in. But this is my arsenal. I come over with a couple saws in case something breaks down. Use the brush saw on the smaller stuff. I can kind of saving the bigger trees for when there's snow on the ground. I can kick the snow aside and cut them down then. So I'm trying to concentrate getting the smaller stuff done, but show you kind of some of the mess I've made over here. Last year the Natural Lands Institute has had enough charitable people giving that they've purchased a big skid steer loader with a brush grapple on it that we don't have to spend all the time dragging all this wood over and putting it on a pile to burn. We're going to machine in here, grab hold of that big pile, push it up, clamp it, take it to a fire, and it'll take me 45 minutes to haul a pile like that, and it'll probably do it in 5 minutes. So that allows me to just come over, and as I do cut, I try to kind of lay it in windrows, all facing the same direction, so when the skid steer comes along, you can just grab it. This total parcel is 100 acres, and it's down to where this last 8-acre plot is the last that needed to be cleared, and after that it'll just be maintenance. Here's the chainsaw running. That's Joe over there working on another part of it. But you can see that there's a lot of wood gone down here in the last, I probably put in 40 hours over here, I guess. Heading for 50 today. This patch is mostly buckthorn, invasive species, and oh, the birds love it, but they also drop those berries everywhere, and then you can see how for natural vegetation between the honeysuckle and the buckthorn, it's so shaded that nothing will be able to grow the way it's supposed to here. Some of it's kind of small. Other times we get into, the trunk could be 6 to 8 inches around. And there you can see a spout. He's been burning his brush as he goes, but since I filmed last, we had our new skid steer over with the big gravel bucket on it, and they've pushed a lot of this stuff up and cleared it. My last pictures were on a hillside over there, and you can see now that it's all bare except for the select hickory and oak that were left. But we moved across, and this is more of the area that we've knocked down since they had the machine here. Got a lot of work piled up for them to come over and pile up. Down through here, that's actually cut. It's so high a brush you think it's still standing, but we're getting down to where there's not that much left to go. When I return from these cutting projects over there, I'm oftentimes, my hands are all scratched up, face is all scratched up, because you start wading in here, and even though you're really careful, you can see stuff starts coming down, and you just start getting a few wounds, a little bit of blood flowing. Nothing major, you're careful, but it's just what happens out there in this stuff that it gets this thick. Just like going to the gym, I had to have my rest days, so I would try to go over and cut 2 to 3 days, but if I went over and spent most of the day, I need the next day or two to recover. Just kind of a typical thing. When you work out hard and then let your body heal up, you go back at it again. But it was a good workout for the winter. Kept me in shape for going out playing, and as the winter started, 3 or 4 hours was all I could take. But I think near the end I even put a 10-hour day in over there, which the way you just built up to things. But it was just nice seeing all the finally getting caught up. Throughout the winter we had a pretty mild winter. The snows never got very deep. There was a short time it got up to 7 or 8 inches of snow, and it made it a little bit harder, but again, I saved some of when I had to take the big chainsaw over and be cutting down bigger trees, I was able to use that, so I was able to keep going. Some days were a little colder, but for the most part we had a mild winter, and it was just nice seeing the progress come. And as I laid down some of these really big messes of 18-inch cherry trees and just windrows of some bigger trees. Oh, did I mention how nice it was that we have that bobcat now to help take a lot of that work out. If I'd had to be pushing these piles up and dragging that brush with myself, this 80-acre project would have strung out to 3 or 4 years of hard work. But with the aid of that machine, it's all going to be cleaned up in one season, and we can go on with the next time will be to kill the resprouts, they call it. But here's the orange tape marks. There was some good stuff in there. But now as the stages move on and that gets reseeded and grows back to natural growth, fire will become our maintenance tool. This is that same piece of property and a piece that was restored years ago, and now we lit it on fire and we burned it off, and it knocks back all the invasive species, and we don't need to cut because the natural cure for all of that is the fire. You can see that the parcel I worked on is in the forefront, and the field in the back that's black, that's where it's into the next stages, and fire is our tool.